If you crush the soul of the population and you surveil them and tax them to death, they're going to leave or just give up, and at which point they no longer become productive. The prosperity of a nation is the prosperity of the people. So if the people are not able to prosper, the country will fail. And they're going to learn this one way or another. Take it as an example. Western countries are trying to monitor droplets of rain that are falling on this field here. And it's a very difficult job because there will be millions and millions of raindrops on this field. But the Global South, what they want is to divert the river into their country. They want that water. They want that economic growth. They want investment. So the competition is worlds apart. You have Western countries trying to count the raindrops. Did you send that guy $600? Better track that. These guys are diverting rivers into their country of capital. So it's inevitable they're going to overtake Western countries, especially if they're anchored to Bitcoin.
Today we are joined with an esteemed guest, Samson Mow. Samson is the visionary CEO of Jan3, a company dedicated to spreading hyper-Bitcoinization and the mind behind strategies that are reshaping how nations approach Bitcoin. Today he'll share insights on how Bitcoin's unique incentive structure can liberate the Global South from economic constraints imposed by traditional Western financial systems. Samson's extensive background includes his transformative work with El Salvador's Bitcoin strategy and his former roles as the CSO at Blockstream and COO at BTCC. These experiences have given him a front-row seat to the evolving landscape of Bitcoin and its potential to empower nations. Get ready for a compelling conversation on the future of global finance with one of the leading experts in the field. Before we get on with the video, we'd like to introduce our sponsors who have made this series possible: Stampseed, the Orange Pill app, and Swan. It's our mission to provide our audience with a safe, reliable, and robust way to buy, store, and learn about Bitcoin. Our partners are businesses and people we respect, and are products that we at Bit Intelligence personally use. You're watching 21 Voices. Without further ado, here is Samson Mow in Madeira, Portugal.
Jan3 works with governments, politicians, regulators to implement a Bitcoin strategy. And we come at it from the approach of alignment of incentives. So we look at what problems they have. Do they have stranded energy? Do they have emission reduction targets? And then we try to come in and say, well, Bitcoin can fix these different things in different ways. And generally, the biggest challenge is educating them on what Bitcoin is, and also what Bitcoin mining is too. But a lot of the time, it's also talking about what energy is, because the understanding of money and energy, these things are largely lost. And you see the symptom of that manifest itself a lot in Europe, where they shut down nuclear plants and go back to burning coal because they think we need green tech, but green tech is not reliable. It's very intermittent. And then nuclear is bad. And then you go back to coal because you still need a reliable baseload and you still need energy to heat people's homes. So there's not much you can do. But I think the biggest thing we do is really education and teaching them about what Bitcoin is. And at the same time, we try to teach them that Bitcoin is information. And hopefully in this process, they can understand and learn more about it so that they don't enforce draconian regulations or mandates like, you can't have a full node. We generally try not to talk too much about monetary theory about Bitcoin when we engage, because we have limited amounts of time when you're meeting with the head of state, maybe 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Although recently we found that the meetings went for an hour and a half just because the conversation was so good. But we try to keep it very focused on pragmatic things that they can do. So you have excess energy, well, we can look into mining with that excess energy, and you can simply keep the Bitcoin or sell the Bitcoin to finance the construction of bridges, roads, airports, hospitals, whatever you're looking for. But it's all about the alignment of incentives, similar to how Bitcoin itself works. I believe the best way to offer that unique selling point to the governments is simple. Bitcoin gives you money. Take your stranded energy, make it into money. Take your untapped energy, make it into money. Or take your methane from a dump and make it into money, or flared gas and make that money. That's probably the easiest way to reach them. In the West, they don't. In the global South and developing world, they do. So I think that is their opportunity, that they understand that we need more energy. Costa Rica has a mandate to double their hydro production in the next 5 years. You don't have those mandates in countries like Germany. Technically, they should be trying to turn back on some nuclear reactors, but you just don't have that because they're striving for ESG metrics, and that is largely a religion. It's not based on science at all. So somehow we have to break through that cloud of confusion and bring them back down to reality that people need energy. It's the basic driver of human civilization since we discovered fire. And industry requires energy. It varies, but we find allies in the government because governments are still made of people. And there are Bitcoiners in governments or people that understand Bitcoin in the government. So we'll work with them and try to navigate the path. But I would say it's 50-50. I think half of the people you engage with will understand Bitcoin to at least some basic level. Because Bitcoin has been around for 15 years now, they cannot not know about Bitcoin in some way. And then the other half are largely ignorant about Bitcoin at all, completely. So we have to start from zero sometimes and take them from, what Bitcoin is to what it can do. Right, so we were involved with El Salvador, and I think that's a good success story. We've been working with Madeira here, Free Madeira Group, President Albuquerque, and we've since made new inroads into Colombia, meeting with President Petro and President of Suriname and the Prime Minister of Montenegro. So these are all things that we think are foot in the door opportunities or toeholds, and we just have to drive them to some good conclusion. But it takes time because governments are slow-moving entities. Even though a president might want to do some project or undertake some initiative, you have to get all the machinery in place to push that forward. And I think if they can tie their fates to Bitcoin, much like El Salvador has done, there is a very tangible chance that they can flip Western developed countries in the next 5 years or so, basically in line with hyper-Bitcoinization. So they should also grow as Bitcoin grows. And as you're saying, a lot of countries are in decline. Even though you're a first world country, developed Western nation, a former superpower, you're probably in decline at this point. And it has to do with understanding of money. So the way I look at it is the West in general is trying to manage the flow, the ebb and flow of money and see where it's going and who's sending it to who. And large part of that reasoning, I believe, is for taxation. They want to know your money because they want to tax you, right? You don't get the questionnaires declaring your assets because they want to, make sure you're doing well. They want a piece of that.
Please bear with us for a quick message from our sponsors. These videos take a lot of time to shoot and edit, and we've partnered with brands we trust like Stamp Seed and the Orange Pill app in order to get the funding we need to bring you these videos every week. Don't store your Bitcoin in cold storage without stamping your seed phrase on an indestructible titanium plate. Stamp Seed is fireproof, rust-proof, impact-proof, and easy to hide. It has no loose parts and will give you ultimate peace of mind that your Bitcoin is safe and sound for the long term. Click the link in the description below for 15% off your stamping kit. When I finally got Bitcoin, it hit me like a lightning bolt. This was the currency of the future, the only money that truly mattered. But there was a problem. I was a lone hodler in a sea of skeptics. That is, until I discovered the Orange Pill app. Suddenly, I was connected with a network of like-minded Bitcoin enthusiasts right in my own city. The Orange Pill app is more than just a social network. It's a community of passionate individuals determined to change the world, one Satoshi at a time. This series is brought to you by Swan and created by Bit Intelligence. Remember to like this video and subscribe to both our channels for more videos like this every week.
if you crush the soul of the population and you surveil them and tax them to death, they're going to leave or just give up, and at which point they no longer become productive. And I think it's becoming more and more evident, especially as you have these Bitcoin-friendly jurisdictions that are rising up and saying, we welcome Bitcoin, we welcome innovation and talent and investment, come here, whether it is El Salvador or Madeira or wherever. They're going to be attracting people with favorable conditions. And at some point, people will just give up because they can't survive anymore. Take Canada as an example. We have a lot of immigrants in Canada. They're giving up and leaving because they cannot even afford to live in Canada, much less make a good living where they can send money back home. And this is very problematic for a country that needs immigration for growth. And I believe politicians have to relearn a lot of these things, that the prosperity of a nation is the prosperity of the people. So if the people are not able to prosper, the country will fail. And they're going to learn this one way or another. Well, the Bitcoin standard is everyone is using Bitcoin and transacting in Bitcoin, saving in Bitcoin, and there is no more return to fiat. So the best case in the world is we see an equalization between the ascending and descending. Hopefully the descending don't drop too far because it's not good for anybody. The goal is a win-win situation where there's more equity in the world, where the developing countries have a good standard of living, they have less debt, the developing countries are no longer as authoritarian and controlling and willing to harm their citizenry because now there's an option. So basically a level playing field where you could move from the UK and go to Argentina or to Ecuador or to Costa Rica, but you're less likely to go because now conditions back home are improving. That is probably the best outcome, where you have more equilibrium in the world. And that will happen from Bitcoin. And you're also seeing it with population declines too, that people just don't want to have children anymore. So you definitely need to have some form of population growth or else you have to collapse. So new planning for immigration, for people migrating, for more families, these things are all very important as we move into the next phase of an orange-pilled world. You have to think from the perspective of onboarding 8 billion people to Bitcoin. That's a lot of education. That's a lot of Bitcoin wallets that have to be downloaded and built. That's a lot of hardware wallets. A lot of companies offering custody solutions, even as part of a multi-sig. So there's just so much to be done. Also merchants, point of sale terminals, everything. We're seeing this as a little microcosm, and you can see it in Madeira here at this conference. But this has got to expand everywhere. So if you look at it from a economic opportunity, it's the next massive $1 trillion industry, onboarding people to Bitcoin. You see photos online, but until you actually go there and you're standing on the cliff watching the waves crash, or walking around and experiencing what's basically a botanical city, you don't really fully grasp how beautiful this place is. I think most people here are going to come back, and they try to incentivize us to bring our families, but coming here and seeing it firsthand, I've heard a lot of people say, I'm coming back for vacation, I'm bringing my family. And this is part of that Bitcoin-driven tourism, right? We're coming here for a conference, but we're going to leave with an impression of Madeira and what could be if it was a Bitcoin country.
Samson's work at Jan3 is not just about promoting Bitcoin, it's about sparking a transformative shift in how countries interact with global finance and energy, leveraging Bitcoin mining to build a better grid and a more equitable economic landscape. If today's discussion inspired you, I encourage you to dive deeper, explore more, and consider the impact that Bitcoin can have on global economies, especially those emerging from the shadows of traditional financial systems. Remember, each step towards Bitcoin adoption is a step towards a more liberated and empowered society. Stay tuned for more enlightening discussions, and remember to subscribe for the latest recaps, insights, and films about all things Bitcoin.
What's up, everyone? My name's Bevan, and I'm the creator of the Bit Intelligence YouTube channel. We partnered with Swan for this original series so that we could reach the largest audience possible. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to both of our channels below so that you don't miss a single episode.
This is 21 Voices. If you want to watch another episode, try this one here. We'll see you next time.